Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain clubrooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
Ooh, that was a bit sudden, wasn't it? This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night in masked up Hobart. Greetings to and season's greetings to everybody. We're only a couple of days away from Christmas. So yes, season's greetings to all, and we're operating throughout Christmas, the Christmas break on the Wednesday night, so you're most welcome to come up and say hello and get involved in what we get up to at Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. So there you go. I think that was somebody on RHT. Anyway. We've got we're going out on RF on 445.5 megahertz, 7 megs standard definition, and we're also going out on YouTube streaming, and I think we've got a few watchers there. And please let us know where you're coming in from on the chat, and if there's any questions along the way, please. Let us know. So we've got a fairly full program tonight. The very first element is the NANOVNA-F version 2. We've got a little segment on Time Domain Reflectometry. So we've got if I head over to 222, if I head over to there. Oh, that was a bit of a rough little transition. But anyway, we've got a a length of random coax here that has some connectors on the end that we're going to attempt to measure the length of. Using the NANOVNA. So that's our first segment, and then we move on to some interesting things around our GPS locked beacon. Our GPS locked beacon is off the air right at the moment. We had it go off the air at the big storm that we had, thunderstorm we had a little while ago. Now, fortunately, it didn't damage anything, but what we did do was take the beacon controller out of service And what that did was enabled me to actually show you what's inside the beacon controller. So we'll have a bit of a look at that. Also, some 10 gig power amplifiers arrived on our shores from the Netherlands, and I was going to show you that. Very cute little PC is another thing that we're going to be looking at. And then if we get some time, we might be looking into the latest edition of Low Key magazine. So that's our program for tonight. So again, if you are watching on the stream, please let us know. Put your name into the chat and where you're coming in from. So NANOVNA, the NANOVNA-F. Good big screen, goes to 3 gigs, and probably the most versatile little bit of test equipment that is under $150, and a definite tool for the shack. So what we're going to be doing tonight is, and we'll head to the close-up camera and zoom in a little bit here, and we'll switch on the NANOVNA. So what I'll just grab is it does come with a guitar pick on a little string. So the guitar pick's really handy for configuring it. Now, what we're going to be using here is the linear function on the NANOVNA. So what we need to do, we'll do a little bit of configuration here before we get underway. We'll go to trace. We just want trace 0, and we want it for S11. So we'll switch off trace any of the other traces, and we'll go back here. Now we do want the format, and we've got to go to the next. So we'll either linear or real, one or the other, it doesn't really matter. We go to the, oh hang on, a bit of paper keeps slipping here. Then what we need to do is set it up into, we've got a Time Domain Reflectometry configuration here, TDR. So we go into TDR, we want the low pass impulse set on, we want the transformation switched on, and we need to set the velocity factor for the velocity factor that is the piece of coax that you're actually trying to measure on. Now, how do you work that out? If you can have a look at the specifications for the coax, if you can actually see them on the side of the coax. That's probably the easiest way. Have a look on the internet. Or if you can actually see the dielectric in the coax, then you can make a bit of an estimate as to what the velocity factor would be. If it's a foam type of dielectric, then it will be somewhere between 70 and 80%. If it's what looks like a sort of an opaque plastic or polyethylene, then that's probably between, say, 60 and 70%. Now, in this particular case, the coax that we're using is Belden 8262, which I've looked up, which is 66%. So we set the velocity factor, and I'll show you also the variations in the velocity factor and what that actually does to your calculation and measurement. So we'll stick in 66, and that's percent in this case, so it's 66%. Okay, so we're set now. The two things which are fairly critical now to set are the start and the stop frequency. So we'll go back here, and stimulus The start frequency will start down at the lowest that the NANOVNA can go at, which is 50 kilohertz. And then the stop frequency. Now, the stop frequency is fairly critical because the NANOVNA only has 101 points that it samples. You don't want it to be too much, because then your resolution is going to be really low, and you may or may not actually sample the peak that you're looking for the end of the coax. So there's a little formula that you can use, and this has come from W1 AEW, and there is a, I'll put the reference to this particular video. Fantastic series of videos on the NANOVNA. But the stop frequency is in megahertz, and it's 5850 divided by the maximum distance that you think this coax is. So you'd probably estimate a bit longer than what you'd think, times the velocity factor in a decimal. So if it's 66% that we put in there, it'll be 0.66. So this lot of coax that I'm actually using here is, and I'll show. That's the bit of coax that I'm using. There's quite a few turns on there, so there would be probably, I don't know, 20, 30, maybe 40 meters of coax there. So if I put in, well, if you start on 100. If you start on 100 meters, so if you think that's nowhere near 100 meters of coax, but I'll show you what it does. If you put that into the formula, you end up with a stop frequency of about 38 megahertz. So if we put a stop frequency in of, say, 40 megahertz, we'll see what actually happens. So we're all set to connect our coax up, and we connect it up to the S11 port. And you'll see that there is a fantastic peak here. Now, there's a great little function in here. There's a great little function that I've got to go back to get. Now, display. I think it's... Is it format? No. Back. Reference position, no, that's not what I want. It's hidden away here. Stimulus. There is a search function, and of course I can't find it when I'm looking for it, can I? Anyway, there's a search function that enables you to. It's not under more. No. No, Time Domain Reflectometry? No. Calibrate, save, stimulus. Is it under stimulus? Span, CW pulse. No. Anyway, there's a search function that's available that enables you to search on the minimum and the maximum. I'll work out where that is in a second. I'll show you that. But you can move the cursor along here, and you can see I'm already on the pulse. As we go up here and we've got to the top, you'll notice over here there is a number of 24.18 meters. So now you'll notice that this scale along here is 100 meters. So we've put in 40 megahertz. If we go up in frequency, what you do is you widen the resolution. So though the 101 points that it's sampling along here, if we go back to stimulus and go the stop frequency of, say, I don't know, 100 megs go up in frequency, 100 megahertz. Now let's see what that does. Yeah, okay. So what it's done is moved the peak along and also widen the peak because there's more sample points around that peak. So theoretically we should be able to get a bit more of an accurate measurement here, and you'll notice that we get to the top here, right at the top, and it's about 23.97 metres. So it's given us what would be a slightly more accurate reading. And you can keep going up in frequency until you get broader and broader peak, and so you get more and more of an accurate answer here for 23.97 metres long. Now, if we don't know what the velocity factor is, I'll just show you what the effect of that is. If we don't quite know what the velocity factor is, and we've said, oh, I think it's foam dielectric, it'd be about 80%, we put that in. Now, you'll notice what that does to the actual figure that it's calculated here is it's gone up. It's gone to 29.86 metres. So it actually thinks that it's longer than what it actually is, because the velocity factor is higher, slowing that signal down. So it's 29.86. If we go back to our normal, what the velocity factor actually is, which is 66%, it comes down to 23.97. So a much more accurate figure. Now, that's for an open circuit. The end of that bit of coax, here is an open circuit. What happens if you've got a fault on the coax, or somebody's nastily put a pin through your coax, at some point, and so to imitate you putting a pin through your coax, which I don't want to do on this bit of coax because it's a nice bit of coax and it's actually an okay bit of coax, what I've done is I've put a 75 ohm terminator, and it could be a short, but a 75 ohm terminator on the end of the piece of cable as if it's shorted at the end. And I'll show you what that does to the reflected signal. If we go back to the NANOVNA, you'll notice that the peak is a lot less. And in fact, if that was a short, there's almost nothing there. So what you have to do is play with the scale. So let's go back to display, scale, and we need to play with, make it at 0.1, see what happens. Oh, that's about the same. I think it might have been on 0.1. So if we put it on 0.01, whoa, we've so that's a bit too much. So let's put it on 0.05. Oh, yeah, okay. We got a little bit better there. 0.005. How's that? Oh, we've gone in the other direction. Sorry. 0.015. That's a bit better. Okay. So we're still at the 23.97, which is correct because it's a short at the end. But what you can do is find that anomaly. Use the scale to actually scale it up so you can see that anomaly, and it could be a short, and it's quite a definite change in the waveform, and so you can then move the cursor on your NANOVNA to that point that you find, and here we think it's at 23.97 metres. So you can measure out the 23.97 metres and try and work out what's actually going on with your coax at that 23.97 metre mark, and it's pretty accurate. It's basically measuring it's the reflected signal all the way to the end with either an open or a short, and then giving you that in the time domain, and the time domain is based on the frequency. And so in this case, this frequency is set to about 30 30 to 35 metres, from 0 to 35 metres, and at that 23.97 you'll find that's the end of your piece of coax. Now if I take that short off, you'll notice that peak goes up dramatically. Yeah, and we have to actually bring the scale back. But it just goes to show that you can actually measure a piece of coax. This is another function that's available on your NANOVNA, and it's what makes it such a huge and useful piece of equipment in the shack. So that's your the NANOVNA, and I highly recommend to people, if you're into experimentation, get one of these. They're under $150 landed here. They come with all the kit. They come with the software. It's in a future program, what we'll do is we'll connect up a PC so you can see the PC interface on this particular device, so you can get it on a much bigger screen, much bigger screen, and also we'll go through progressively next year a whole lot of the other functions that are available on the NANOVNA. So I keep banging on about it, but NANOVNA's just for the experimenter, the RF experimenter, absolutely an essential part of your toolkit, and a reasonably cheap part of your toolkit. So just absolutely fantastic. So anyway, that's the NANOVNA. Now, I mentioned earlier that we had our beacon controller, and what I'll do here is we'll just where are we? We're on 2. So if I go to 1 and head back over here, just bear with me, I'm just moving the camera, and there we are. Okay, so what I've got here is our beacon controller. This is VK7RST, our beacon controller. You can see the LCD screen there, and there are a whole lot of LEDs here which tell us what the GPS disciplined oscillator is doing. What's in here, and I'll point it out. What you're looking at here is now signal comes in, GPS antenna, so active GPS antenna comes in here. It goes to, there's a little stamp, it's a postage stamp. Let's go in here, and ooh, wrong way, and a bit of focus. Okay, so this is the postage stamp, GPS disciplined oscillator. You can see there's the GPS antenna cable that comes in here. That supplies a stabilized 10 meg output, which is distributed by this board here to each of the digital synthesis boards. And if we go up each of the digital synthesis boards, and you can see here they're labelled 70 centimetre, 2 metre and 6 metre at the very top up here, and they are then all controlled by the beacon controller, which is this board here. This is a little microcontroller, and it also has its own it actually also has its own GPS receiver on it to get all of its time and other details and location and bits and pieces. There's a cable that goes off to the LCD screen, and a variety of other cables. There's also you can see this thing here. This is actually a temperature. It's a thermocouple. It measures the temperature in here and actually transmits the temperature within the box on every 3 or 4 cycles of JT9 as a little message. so you can tell what the temperature is within the box, which gets a bit scary. It's all powered by 13.8 volts, so there actually is no power supply in here. It's powered externally on the unit, on their beacons. These are exciter boards, so these are basically provide the stabilized signals on the frequency signals on 72 and 6, and it is the controller here which is modulating modulating them in the actual DDS to give the output, and the output of these boards then goes to a little preamp and then into a KL unit power amplifier for 62 and 70. So there's 3 KLs sitting there. There's some big power supplies, big hefty power supplies, and that drive all of that. Yeah, that's the beacon controller. Fortunately, this didn't go up in smoke. We didn't let the smoke out of it with the with the thunderstorms. That was still perfectly all right. But I am yet to see that the rest of the PAs and their power supplies and everything are all right. I thought it was the beacon controller that was the problem originally, but yeah, it doesn't look like it is. So I'm wondering whether there is some power supplies that we've let the smoke out of, and a few other things. So yeah, that's a bit better. So now, is that in focus? Yes, it is. Cool. Now, a number of us, including I think Peter Dowd up in the north, and Richard VK7RST, got onto a deal out of the Netherlands, where there is a group, a club, amateur club, that is taking commercial 10 gigahertz, very nice 10 gigahertz units. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to fit this on there, but let's see. Yes. Yep, zoom out there a little bit. So these are 10 gigahertz power amplifiers, and you can see what they've been doing is they've been retuning them and peaking them up. You can see they've managed to get 25.7 watts out of this particular unit for an input of 30 to 50 milliwatts. So there's a fair bit of gain in this unit. And it's run on 10.5 volts, and at that 25.7 there is about 11 amps at 10.5 volts being consumed. So a fair bit, but this gets 25.7 watts on 10 gigahertz, which is enough on a 600mm dish to when the conditions are correct, when the conditions are in your favour, it's enough to do some moon bounce. So that's the intention of this. These kits are very, very nicely put together. They do all of the tuning on and the retuning and the peaking up on the amplifier modules. They make wonderful little bias boards. So the -5 volts bias boards are on there, and you can buy little DC to DC converters, high current DC to DC converters. So this is basically almost anything in to almost anything out. Not quite, but at least I think 10 amps, 10 or 20 amps. I think it might be 20 amps. So these are pretty impressive little units. So this gives you very nice. Kim's just walked in with a very nice. Very nice. Bring it in. Bring it in. Bring it in. Bring it in.
got to go.
Oh, okay.
We're going to Melbourne in the morning, so I'll give you organised.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it'll do, it's all cool, so just keep it reasonably horizontal.
Okay.
It'll do a kilowatt and some bird light, so it's all right. I
Okay.
haven't used it for about 2 years, covered in dust and shit.
Well, I actually bought the, I actually did bring the generator, the DDS for it.
Oh, very good.
So,
Well, you have a go.
so there you go.
It's got a Type N on it that's got a BNC adapter.
Okay,
Okay,
cool.
alright, I'll see you when I see you.
Thanks, Kim. Safe travels.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, keep away from the bugs.
Try.
Okay. Have a good Christmas New Year.
You too.
See
Cheers. See you. So that was Kim, who just brought in our 1 kilowatt dummy load for our for another project that we'll see on a future ATV night. That we were very generously given a 1 kilowatt AM transmitter, a commercial transmitter, that we think we can move it up a little bit to give us 160 meters, AM 160 meters at least, if not some other modes. So we want to do some tests, and we need a suitable dummy load that can take that sort of power. So we've it's just arrived. So thank you very much, Kim. So that's come from Jac De Bruin, who is PA3DZL. That will certainly get us on 10 gigs with a fair bit more power, which is fantastic. So now I'm just going to show you. I'm not going to go into this in a lot of detail. This can be a future ATV night presentation, because I want to actually get this working with the IC705. Now, this little thing, and to give you an example, there's my hand, so it's about the size of my hand, and this is a GPD Micro PC. So that's the size of the keyboard. It's about the size of my hand. There is touchpad. There's a scroll wheel over here. It is little display. It's not a touch screen. It is not a touch screen. So that's no. It's just a display screen. So you use the touchpad. It's got a full function keyboard with a whole lot of, and it can also be backlit, which is very handy. One of the key things that you'll see on the back is it's got some Type 3 USBs, and it's also got one on the side. It's got a USB-C connector. It's got a 10, 100 and 1 gig Ethernet port. It's got HDMI connector, and it's got an RS232 connector. Native RS232 connector. It's got the USB 3. It's also got an SD card slot in it. It has headphone and microphone on it. It doesn't have a camera. It is an Intel N4100 processor. So this is a quad-core processor running at 1.1 gigs or 2.4 gigs. So it does. You can get it to run in slightly less power, and so obviously less power consumption. It's got 8 gigs of DDR4 in it. It's got 128 gig SSD in it. That's a little 6-inch display, and it's running 1280 by 720, so it is running full resolution on that display. It means that things are pretty small. It's got 2 by 3100 milliamp hour batteries that last about 6 to 8 hours, depending on what speed you're running it at. It's currently OS 10, can be Ubuntu Mate, and it actually has it's a 440 grams in weight. So 440 grams in weight. I'd be very happy about putting that into the pack. You can connect via USB to the 705, and you can do digital modes. I've already installed WSJT on this, and it works very nicely. Thank you very much. In fact, with plenty of headroom, so it's certainly not taxing it when it's running WSJT. And you can run digital modes. You can also obviously do your logging on here as well. Doesn't have a SIM card though. Doesn't have a SIM card. So you have to hotspot to your phone if you want to get some internet connectivity. But anyway, little GPD, what's called a Micro PC, and the big advantage for me is it's light, it's powerful, can certainly run the stuff that I'm running for digital modes, and very easy to via USB to connect up to USB-C to connect up to your transceiver, and you can control your transceiver as well as do the digital modes on your transceiver with that little screen. So once I've connected it up and got it all working with the 705, I'll do another segment. But that's GPD Micro PC out of China. It is China. GPD is a Chinese company. Comes in a very nice, very Apple-looking box. So yeah, that's it literally arrived a day or so ago, and so I haven't, apart from sticking a whole lot of programs on it and getting it up and going, I haven't done very much at all. So watch this space. So Micro PC, and it was my tax return. So that's the reason it appeared. Now, okay. Now, about a week ago, my Low Key magazine arrived. Now, Low Key is the journal of the VK QRP Club. It comes out quarterly, and to join the VK QRP Club is $15 a year. Now, I still can't believe it's been $15 a year for an awfully long time. But for that, you're obviously a member of the VK QRP Club, but you get your quarterly magazine. Actually, no, hang on. No, I don't think it is quarterly. It's every 2 months, I think. So anyway, so this is December 2021, and I just thought I'd run through what's in here so you can have a bit of a see. There's a bit of a comment, low tone from the chair, and a bit of a comment from the editor. The article on the front, the picture on the front, is from Doc, VK5BUG, and his big bore top band vertical antenna, so for 160 metres, there's an article in here about it. President's Notes, Trevor Quick, VK5ATQ, about what's going on. Don Callow with Club News. The Treasurer's Report from Kevin Zeitz, VK5AKZ, in a very good position. Now, the Max Barunga Award is each year to the best technical article in Low Key magazine, and so that's a little bit about how they chose the technical award and who it went to, and the technical articles that were in there. So they do a quick review on that. Andrew Davis, VK1DA, on the 40 metre contest results for the QRP Hour contest. Season's greetings. There you go. There's a cross between a deer and a kangaroo. So there you go. Now, the main article in here from Doc Westcombe Down, VK5BUG, is the big bore 160 metres top band helical antenna. So this is a whole lot of PVC pipe that all slots together, and it basically is a helical turned on each of these pipes that ends up being, I think, quite a number of metres long, and some very impressive results out of this as well. So he talks about how it's made, a bit of the theory, the trials and the mounting that he went through. That's the base impedance matching circuit for it, for 160 metres. So to make it look the right length for 160 metres, and then a bit of analysis, etc. VSWR of 1:1 there. So he's got some great results out of it. So local CW contacts with VK2, 3, 4, 5 and 7. And some great results out of the Oceania DX, the DX QRP, CW, etc., etc. So and all his references here. So there you go. Member classifieds. Chris's crosswords, VK1CT, always puts in a radio-related crosswords. Applications, and then the club nets and frequencies and bits and pieces. And then as our familiar friend and king of QRP, I think, Peter Parker, VK3YE, with his who's sitting there on his local jetty, and with his magnetic loop antenna there on the back cover. So Low Key magazine, Journal of the VKQRP Club, fantastic little magazine. If you're into home brewing and QRP, then do yourself a favour, as Molly Meldrum used to say, and $15 to become a member, and you get that sent to you. So absolutely fantastic. Now, the Summer VHF, UHF and Microwave and Above Field Day happens from 0100 UTC on Sunday, January 15th, through to 0059 UTC on Sunday, the 16th. So the 15th and 16th of January 2022, which is not that far away, is the Summer VHF and Microwave Field Day. So shout out to all those people to either go portable or operate as a home station, and it's in the not too distant future. It's in three or 4 weeks away. So have a think about whether you're going to go portable or be a home station, and contact all those people who take all their equipment in a van out in the middle of nowhere on a top of a hill and do crazy stuff. So there you go. Finish off with a few reminders. We've got our open day. Our open day is on January the 30th. At the end of January, Sunday, January the 30th, between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Up here. Lots and lots of stuff going on up here on that particular day. Our AGM, the date is the 6th of February, so it's the next weekend. Now, stop press. Big stop press. The WIA board has agreed to allow REAST to host the virtual AGM for the WIA, for the Wireless Institute of Australia. The theme will be an Antarctic Gateway theme, so very similar to the theme, surprise, surprise, very similar to the theme that we put forward for the 2020 AGM, which was going to be held down here, and of course COVID put paid to that. But this format of it is it's held on one day. It's May the 7th, 2022. There will be an AGM and open forum in the morning, so just before lunch. Then we break for lunch, and then there is an afternoon. For the rest of the afternoon, there are a number of presentations which will all be delivered online. So they will be streamed, so you can come into the stream if you're interested in a particular topic. They're all Antarctic related topics. I'll just warn you, because the theme is the Antarctic Gateway. But each of those lectures will be streamed, and you can come online wherever you are in Australia or around the world, and watch that stream. There'll be a small little charge for it, because we've got to cover some costs, but be very small little charge. And we've confirmed all of our speakers and presenters, and so May the 7th, mark it in your diary, save that date, May the 7th in the morning, and then the afternoon for the presentations. So stop press, literally. I got the email from the president of the WIA a couple of days ago, confirming that it was all okay what we put forward, so it's full steam ahead with that. And just a reminder, we are doing our DATV Experimenters Nights throughout the Christmas period and throughout the holidays period. So we will be up here and we will be doing nights. We might be actually doing some satellite bits and pieces because it's reasonable weather to get out into the compound here and try and track the satellites as they fly over. And in fact, we've got a very nice comet, Comet Leonard, that there is some fantastic shots, photos being posted on the net right at the moment about Comet Leonard. So we might even head out tonight once it gets dark and see whether we can't spot Comet Leonard going across the sky. So yeah, that's our Christmas edition, and I bid everybody a season's greetings. I hope you all have a good Christmas and are able to either get together or see your families and loved ones on Christmas Day or Boxing Day or some other day around those celebrations. And a bit of a shout out to all of those healthcare workers and those people who are doing their darndest to help with keeping COVID under control and serving the community in a fantastic amount of ways. My hat comes off to you guys, and you're going to be continuing to do it over the Christmas break, which is absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, a big shout out to our healthcare industry. Just doing a phenomenal job. So that's VK7RST, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night, and we'll catch you next Wednesday, and we'll have another bunch of stuff. Keep your eye on the Facebook page, and we'll catch you next time around. Now we do have some videos for our RF viewers, which are surprise, surprise, Christmas related. so that's in store for our RF viewers. So that's our show for tonight. Merry Christmas to everyone, and have a fantastic and safe. Please stay safe. Follow the COVID rules, and we'll catch you next Wednesday night. This is VK7RST, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night. And 73.